everyone, I hope you are well today. Now today I'm going to do a video requested and paid for by a lady I will call Kindle. You know who you are, and she requested and paid for this after I put out a request that I had spaces free for healings, and she came up with a very good idea. She wanted me to sort of show and tell some of the places I've been to on my spiritual journeys. So today I have chosen a place that I've been to many times called the Devil's Den. I don't like calling it that name because that's the Christian name. Who knows what it was called, but it is a dolman. And a dolman is thought to have been a tomb, and here is a painting of what it probably looked like in the ancient times, and we're talking 3,000 to 2,000 years BC. Okay? And this place is off the beaten track. So let's start. So take a deep breath in from the ground below you, holding the air in your lungs for a little while, and breathe out. And then take a deep breath in from the skies above you, holding the air in your lungs for a little while, and then breathing out any anxiety and worry. Taking a third deep breath in from the waters within our sacred earth, holding the air inside you for a little while, and then blowing out any sadness back into the waters. And finally, take a deep breath in from the sun above you, holding the air in your lungs for a little while, and then breathing out any anger and frustration towards it. And then settle your breathing down into its natural rhythm, feeling a bit more calm and centered within body, mind and spirit. Okay, I now want you to grow roots. And I'm going to draw the symbol of the grove right down your middle as you grow those roots. This is called code. Code, and it is a symbol of the trees collectively together. We bring down through, so just grow those roots out of you and down through the ground, deeper and deeper and deeper until they get a foothold somewhere within the soil, the rocks and the crystals below you. The grounding of the code is within you now. And then I would like you to imagine a candle flame at the innermost of your being, and feel and push that flame out of you. Let it glow and let it grow bigger and stronger and fiercer to the front of you, behind you, to each side, and above and below you, creating a sphere of impenetrable fire protection around you, pushing out anything that does not need to be there and does not belong to you. Breathe out, and then finally let's ask, as we move into the ancestral time of the year, let's ask for the collective ancestors to be with us now, and here is a representative of the collective worldwide ancestors. Okay. So I'm just placing my hands on your shoulders to make a connection with you. And I want yourself to see yourself in the hippie van with me. And we're just driving along the roads of Wiltshire in South England. And we're about 20 miles north of StoneHenge. As the crow flies, 20 miles north. We're driving along the main road out of Marlborough, and we head west. We're deep in the Barrowlands now, the place of the ancient English and Wessex kings, Celtic kings, Saxon kings. But before the time when the Saxons came, and probably before the time of the Celts. And there's a little road just heading off towards the south. We put the indicator on and we turn down it. And we are at a place called Clatford Bottom now. And we're just going to pull over on the far side of this very small bridge. It is all trees, shrouded in trees, reaching over from the banks. It is quite dark in here, but it's a good place to leave our van. So we're going to leave it there, and we're going to climb out now. Put your coat on, take your raincoat, because this is a place at this time of year that has 4 seasons in one day. I have been at this place and it has been glorious sun, then it has been rain, then it has turned into hail, the wind has whisked past as well, and then it's turned back to the sun again. So get your raincoat out, get your little backpack with your water and maybe your snacks. Maybe you've brought some crystals and oils with you as well. And I'm going to draw another symbol now from Celtic Reiki, the yew tree. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so that we place that all the way down you, so that it does some healing in the timelines as we're coming to this ancient place, possibly of your ancestors, but definitely from the collective ancestors. Okay. We start walking northwards. We walk back across the bridge and up the little winding dark track. There's still a lot of leaves on the trees here, and the noise of that busy main road is in front of us. And we trudge up the side of the road and we reach the main road. We look right and we look left and we look right again and left again, and then we cross the road. Only 2 lanes of traffic. And we're on the other side, and we're at a place called Clatford Bottom. And in front of us is a farm track, a muddy and chalky farm track. We're going to pick our way up this now. We haven't got too far to go to. And as we walk up, you start to notice the foliage of this time of year. And I'm going to actually spray some silver birch and Scots pine oil over us. Breathe that in, breathe the cleansing antiseptic smell of the birch. and the grounding smell of the Scots pine. Breathe it into the pit of your stomach. Feel your abdomen inflate as you breathe in deeply. And I'll draw ale in, ale in, ale in. And that is the symbol for Scots pine, and that stands for far-sightedness and looking ahead. And the birch, Beth, 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 for new beginnings. And I want you, as you walk up this country lane, this muddy country lane with hedgerows on either side, of mewing of blackberries which are ripened, mewing. And the ivy, the gort, which runs through everything. The grasses are dying, the nettles are starting to be spent. And the other little flowers of campion, the thistles and the teasels all starting to get a bit brown. Honeysuckle and wild clematis folds and moves around through everything, and as their seed pods turn, they create a white filigree film that at a distance will look like an old man's beard. That's what we call it. It looks like spiders' webs have been left to grow over the hedgerows. And we keep walking, looking at the ground. It is a light brown mud with white chalky bits. You slip and you slide a little bit, but it's nice and flat. We are actually heading into a valley, which is unusual for a dolman, because tombs and dolmens were traditionally placed at the top of valleys and hills. There are a few lines of thinking that maybe this was a chieftain's home, and when he died they filled back all of the earth to make a mound. It is also thought that they would sit in here and observe the skyline. If I move this, you can see that you could sit inside it, and it would block the vision from the side, so it would blinker you, and you would be able to keep observation on the stars and the planets on a certain place in the sky. If we looked at astroarchaeology and found out what the Devil's Den is aligned to, I should have done that, I'm sorry, I did not prepare properly, we may find that it is aligned to one of the celestial bodies in the sky. Some kind of star. They were very focused on the Cygnus at this time, at the time that they built the Silbury Hill Mound, probably about 6 or 7 miles away, which is Europe's pyramid. They would have been observing the Cygnus, which has now dropped below the horizon as the Earth has wobbled and moved on the axis. But anyway, it is daytime and we are walking along this path. And as you walk now, we're getting a little bit closer. I want you to think, what do you want to get rid of for the winter? What is it you wish to get rid of? so that you can prepare for the 6 months ahead as Druids, as witches, Wiccans, pagans. We're not only focused on the next quarter of the wheel or eighth of the wheel in the spokes. Now at the equinox, I am looking forward to January, to February, when I start the new year, but I am preparing now for the goals that I wish to attend and attain next year. So think about what needs to go on this walk and shed it out of your feet. If you get brushed by one of these stinging nettles, let the pain take some of that stuff out. It lets your endorphins rush around the body, keeping you healthy, keeping you safe. People used to whip themselves with these as a penance or just as a competition, and eating them as well. I would actually knock them down first and then come back when the sting has gone and then pick them up and eat them, if I was to do such a thing. But I'm a chicken licking. Okay, so walking up, knowing what you're going to get rid of. And if you're not sure what you need to get rid of, why don't you ask your guides and helpers and your ancestors? Okay. So looking into the hedgerows as we walk, you may find some wild apples, but most likely you are going to find sloes. And these are about that big, and they are a deep purple colour, and they come from the blackthorn. As you look now, as you pass, you can see really dark and red wood with thorns about that long, protecting these little fruits that many people come and forage and then put in their gin for winter. They make sloe gin. So something like the blackthorn, which is really protective, you can make a briar around you, wrap them around. It can give protection, but then at the end of the year, it will give off sweetness. Okay. And now, as we walk past the spent grass, you can see little mushrooms, the puffballs. Puffballs growing. Maybe even you see one go poof as you walk past. And then the lane bends, and on the right hand side is a very large barn. There may be a tractor parked there, but there is rarely anyone here. You are walking the White Horse Trail, a marked trail which is free to walk and open for trekkers in the UK. And then as the lane straightens up again, we come to a field. And I'm going to hold this up now. A pasture land. This field is quite often where sheep graze, and there is the Devil's Den. And in the wheat field opposite, quite often crop circles are formed, because a place like a dolman is placed on a ley line. And for some reason these crop circles form on the ley lines. I have not visited a crop circle on this spot, but I have visited about 10 to 12 in my time, and they are amazing. So that is me taking my camera out, and you might want to do the same and take some photos of the Devil's Den. And now I'm just going to have a little rummage in my bag, and I'm just going to go off screen and pick up my dowsing rods, and this is a place to douse, because where these ancient megalith sites are, there is something called a geospiral. And a geospiral is vortexes of energy, and it will create rings of energy, increasing quite far out. Even places like Mount Shasta has one. My friend said 50 kilometers away she felt whoosh, the first ring, the first geocentric spiral that was created, and I did douse them when I got here. So I would hold them out like that, and I would slowly walk forward, and it would cross at each line, and it was very weak. And you can do the same. Just imagine getting your dowsing rods out and walking with slow and measured paces. And the next one, I'm actually moving these, but they will move of themselves. And then walking forwards again to the next ones where it crosses, and so on and so on. And as you get closer to the monument, the rings will get closer and less spread out. So you can count the rings, and we don't think that they were very strong on this one, so we're going to sit down here and we're going to meditate, and we're going to drum, and we're going to do all sorts of crazy things and build the spiritual energy, repair the ley line there. Because lots of things have now been built over ley lines, and they have fractured the energy. The one going through StoneHenge has a great big nuclear power station near the south of it, so it's fractured the ley line. But we're going to do some nice good work here, and we're going to repair that ley line. So you're walking up, and your wands, or your rods rather, are crossing. And then you're going to walk around the dolman's den. You're going to walk around it. And as you get closer, and it is on a little mound itself, and you can see the hills, the valley that it is in. And that is my favourite photograph that I took of it. And it just looks so surreal, doesn't it? It looks kind of like a spaceship that landed, a Neolithic spaceship. And there's me looking through the Devil's Den and sitting on the side of it, and then finally, to raise the energies, me and the dog, we cartwheeled round it. We had a lot of fun that day. We were very wet by the end of it, but on the way out we doused, and we had created a stronger ley line. But I want you now just to sit down and perhaps take a plastic bag out of your rucksack and put it down underneath you so you don't get wet bottom. And just sit and ground yourself again and recalibrate after the walk. Breathe out and invite the spirits of this place to perhaps show you something. And at this time of year, as we are still in the energies of Albin Elfair, or the equinox, but soon we will be heading into the time of Samhain, Halloween, and look, there's a dolman there as well. And This is one of the gateways of the year where we start communing with the crone of the year and the ancestors. So just sit down and send a wish to your ancestors. Thanks for their life, thanks for their healing, thanks for their DNA even, and pledge to remember them. And as you are sitting there with the energies, I'm just going to do a little bit of clearing. We bring to mind a couple of Fae folk. And I did pull 2 cards, and 2 quite appropriate ones came out, a male and a female. The Cunning Folk was the female, and the Cunning Folk were the Druids and the witches who went underground when the witches' persecution happened in Europe. And they ended up being the Cunning Folk, and this was someone who would be silent and observant and wily. It was someone who you went to correct your ills, perhaps someone a little bit like me. Someone maybe that you could talk through, someone who could listen to you. So I want you to listen to your inner voice. What is it telling you to do? What is it telling you not to do? What is it warning you about? And what is it saying you have not listened, you have not noticed? Go back and check things again. And bring the energy of the cunning woman, the cunning man, the cunning folk into your life. Let them be that word of warning that you need before you're impulsive, before you buy something you don't need, before you walk somewhere you don't need to. Whatever, listen to that little inner voice of the cunning woman or the cunning man. And I want you now just to breathe in and see if there is a message now from your inner voice, the energy of the cunning folk. And as we sit looking at the dolman, a cunning woman will walk out from around the back, and she will give you a gift. She strokes your cheek, reminding you that she is here, and then smiles and walks back around the dolman. And from the other side emerges the Seagull Keeper, looking for signs and symbols, signposts I call them, and this person walks forward now with a symbol for you. It may be an ogham, it may be a rune, it may be something else completely. And this fairy spirit, my words are not coming out today, I apologize. This fairy folk reminds you to look for the signals in your life. Look for the way that the twigs have fallen off the tree. They may create a rune, they may create an ogham, they may create an arrow or a word. Look for these signposts. If you are thinking, what chakra shall I clear today? And you then notice 3 yellow cars or 1 yellow car even, you know that is your solar plexus. That will be a signpost. So the Seagull Keeper now walks towards you, and he holds in his hand a symbol. It may be drawn on a stone, it may be tied together with rocks or grass or twigs, or it may be a flower, something completely random, but it will have a meaning. It will have a meaning for you, either outright, or you will have to search for this. Breathe in and thank the Seagull Keeper as he gives you the symbol. And then he reaches round and strokes the other side of your face with a different energy this time. So you have the two energies, the Cunning Folk and the Seagull Keeper, both who had a gift for you. And then he too disappears around the back of the dolman. And now, out of your pocket, I want you to take a little mojo bag that you didn't know you had. And I want you to put your gifts into your mojo bag. If your gift is too big, put it in your rucksack. And then it is time to leave the devil's den. So we stand up and we pick up all of our belongings, all of the trash, the garbage, the little foil candles. If you lit one, we leave nothing behind unless it is a wish stick. And I will quite often carve a wish onto a stick. And I'll throw it, or I'll poke it into the ground, and I'll leave you to do that another time, so it biodegrades healthily with our earth. But we'll pick up all of our belongings and we'll start to leave the dolman. And I don't know if you can see this, but as we turn around, I'm going to put this as the main picture. You can't see it, but the light frequencies on this were amazing and purple as a last view from the sun god that they heard and saw you. I'll see if it comes out on the video. If not, I'll put a different one on. And you can get your rods if you want as you're walking away. And they'll cross, and you'll notice it is stronger now because you have put magical energy back into that place. So I would not be moving my hands like that. They would be still. And I'm actually telling it to turn in my mind now, and it is turn, 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 turn. So they would cross like that, open, open. Not so quick to open, but they are, okay? So that is how you douse, keeping your hands still and letting them cross, 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 cross. Bit slow to do when there's nothing to feel. We open the kissing gate and we step through it back onto the track, taking a last look and saying goodbye. We start to walk back past the barn, along the muddy footpath, through the hedgerows, past the wheat fields that have cut them and now have just the stubble, and through the hedgerows, noticing the late nectar from the flowers of the gort, which will help you to find a way. You may have some paths that lead nowhere, but that will have given you time to think things through. And ivy can be used to find ways because it weaves and it moves through and around things. blackberry, the muins that bring fertility, abundance and health with all of those antioxidants. What is left now on the bushes will be for the birds to help them through the year. Past the nettles, which are leaning over now, perhaps brushing you as you walk through them. And past some of the mushrooms and the fungi. I sort of regard these as little fairy houses. That's what my mum taught me when I was a kidlet. And soon we are back at the busy road again. This time we look left, we look right, we look left again, right again and left, and cross safely. Walking down our little junction towards the bridge, grounding it all in and growing those roots out of your feet as you walk past. Remembering the seagull you had and the gift from the cunning woman. And then we see the van, the hippie van. We open the door, take our bags off and all climb in. And then drive off either to StoneHenge, Silbury Hill or West Kennet Longbarrow, or you can head south to the Woodhenge and StoneHenge. I will leave that journey for you in your mind, and quite possibly we'll come back and do some more. So I'm going to thank Kindle once again for giving us this video and for giving me the idea, because I had not thought of this. So thank you very much, Kindle. And I'm now placing my hands on your shoulders and grounding you myself. I'm also going to draw the symbol of the code, the grove, right down your center line, and imprinting all the magic of all the trees that you need in your life, whether they be the Irish ogham or plants and trees from your own place. Take care now and enjoy the rest of your day.